everyone, I'm Michael Hughes, aka Hugsy Arts, and today I wanted to do a quick class on drawing eyes. So this is going to be a caricature series, so the focus is going to be mainly on cartoony, fun looking drawings rather than the realistic side of things, which is my style. We're going to be going over a few different techniques and methods. I think it's important when you're learning to draw eyes that you get the foundations right first, which means, you know, learning how to draw a realistic looking eye and getting that stuck in your brain. It will really help, and then you can sort of play and exaggerate as you progress from there. A lot of people see caricature or cartoon drawing as the simpler form of art, I suppose you could say, compared to some of the realistic paintings and portraits you see. But it's actually not. It's actually, it's a different route, if you will. You either stay down the realistic route until you get to perfection, or you go off a different route to, you know, cartoon, caricature, the stylized side of things. There's all different roads, but they're all off the same main road, which is the realistic starting point. So, you know, I mean, when you're drawing cartoons and caricature eyes, you got a bit of wiggle room. You can get away with a lot, which you can't in realistic portraits. But saying that, you still need your anatomy and your fundamentals right. Otherwise, things will still look off, even if you're just drawing your basic sort of really simple cartoon eyes, you know, Simpsons-esque sort of thing. You still need your foundations right. So I'm hoping I can explain a bit of that clearly for you. This is more teaching you how I do eyes and how I think about it. It's not the be all and end all. You know, I'm not the best teacher in the world. I'm just trying to pass on my knowledge to you, so that hopefully, I found it quite hard to learn myself. Had to read like a million books and study everything I could find, and a lot of it was rubbish. So I'm hoping that what I've learned I can get across in a more simple way for you to understand, which I found helped me understand in the end. So, there's also different types of eyes. You know, you've got different ethnic races and stuff. Everyone got different eyes, but they all work upon the same principle. They're all just flesh. Underneath our eyelids and our skin, you know, we all look the same. We're all like that. So what we're going to be focusing on is this, and it's more the correspondence of how the eyelids wrap around the eyes, rather than when you first start drawing, you're just focused on just that eye shape and getting it right. It's usually one of the hardest things to master, along with the nose. A lot of people, when they start drawing eyes, they just get the shape wrong, and it looks wrong. So I'm going to go past all that. Anyway, shifting on. So I'm going to pull a quick picture up if I got one. Yeah. So I pulled this picture up off the interweb, and it's just some random people of different ethnic backgrounds, you know, different races. So I'm hoping I can get across how I approach with my style, how I approach doing the different ethnicity in my drawings. Don't get me wrong, there's white girls with eyes like this, okay, and there's Asian girls, maybe not so much, but with eyes more similar to this. It's a wide ball game. When I get into it, you will see, oops, I didn't mean to delete that. You will see that my starting point is the same no matter what. So I've already given myself a head start. Let's open up a new layer here then. So the eye is an eyeball with an eyelid sort of wrapped over the top. You've got a top eyelid there which wraps back over. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce what that's called. I'm going to go with tear duct because I know the tear duct's there somewhere. And then you've got your bottom eyelid which wraps around the bottom, going back up there like so. You've got your iris. And now when you're doing stylized and cartoony pictures of obviously a lot of people, they explode the eyes out and make them look really huge. I'm going to show you a few avoidable errors which nearly 99% of beginners make when they're drawing their stylized big-eyed portraits. Okay, so you've got your pupil in the middle, you've got your iris, and that's basically the do all and end all of an eye, give or take different variations which we'll see in the different people. So given that that's an eye, that all came from an eyeball. So I don't draw an eyeball as such. I give myself a bit of a head start and I do more of an eye shape. If I just show you, I'm just going to start straight in, and let's say we're going to do this lady here. Put a bit of a thing on so we know where to do it. So I start all my, I'm going to be covering noses and mouths as well, along with craniums and everything. I'm going to go through it all in detail for how I do it. So if you like my art, it's a good place for you to learn. So I start my drawings with a circle. Line down the middle is going to be our center line. Line across the bottom three thirds is going to be our eye line. Now some people just go straight across the middle for the eyebrow line. I like to work off my eye line. So the first thing we're looking at when we're looking for a likeness is the distance between here and here. The distance between here and here. We're looking for the distance of the eyebrows to the top of the eyes. We're looking for the length of the eyes. Yeah, we're looking for the angle of the eyes, so the starting point here and where it ends up. Then after, we can start looking at details like the thickness of the eyelashes, the colours of the eyes, the shape of the eyebrows, etc. But my main points, starting points at the moment, straight off the bat, I'm looking at the width of the bridge of her nose and the distance I need to start. So she's got quite a wide distance there actually, even though she's only got a small bridge of the nose, it sort of slopes in. I pick my starting point for my eyes, so I'm going to go there and there. Now I'm looking at the angle of the eyes. Do they go up? Do they slope down? So I think with this lady's, they're a bit deceptive because of the extra thick eyelashes at the ends. So even though they look like they're sloping down, I think it's only slight. It's only slight. If anything, it's more straight, if not slightly down. So we could pull that down there and pull that down there. Now all I've done there is I've given myself the angle of the eyes and the starting points just with them few dots. It's going to be a good representation of the reference we're drawing. So like I was saying earlier about the eyeball, I like to do a slightly different shape, and it's more like this. I like to just go up slightly from my middle point, and I like to just go around from there and down, around from there and down. So I got a kind of an eyeball thing going on, but I got more of a realistic eye shape to work with. Okay, and then we can just round off the bottom like such. Round off the bottom. So that's our base skeleton, if you will, of our eye sockets, and we work from that. Okay, as we speed things up, this will all become second nature, I promise. Let's go a layer above so we keep this. So looking at the first thing I'm going to be looking at is the top eyelid. I'm looking for that line which goes over. Is it sultry like that? Is it low? Is it starting really high like children? Children's eyes are really wide open, so they're going to be sort of really open like so. Is it really sultry where it's like this? Is it laughing so it comes down? So I'm looking at the shape of that top eyelid, and it's only one line. That's all I need to work out. Sort of going up and around and down. So my eyelid is going to be coming over and down, over and down. Nothing fancy here, nothing extraordinary, just a normal eye, which you're going to be doing daily, I would imagine. Put a bit of thickness there for our eyelash, just to announce that it is an eyelash there. Okay, so we've wrapped that straight around, and it already looks like we got a template in place to wrap our eyelid around as well. You can see she haven't got much of an eyelid going on there, so we're just going to be sort of following around like so. Yeah. Bottom eyelid, even though she's smiling, she's got they come quite far down. It's not like, you know, she's laughing her head off and they squunched up like that. It's just coming around like so. So working from this part, we can just like so, like so. Yeah, we could do an iris over here. Do another one. Apologies if I got to shoot off in a minute. I'm expecting a parcel. Okay, get an iris in there. So we've done an eyelid and an eye shape. I think we could do with stretching it a bit longer, if anything. And the bottom is darker towards the end. Okay, so I mean, around the outsides, you're always going to have darker area where it's sort of coming, you know, your eyeball's sat behind, isn't it? So it's going to cast a bit of a shadow all around the edges, more so in the corners where the eyelashes are thick. Yeah, go directly up from there. Usually is a starting point for the start of your eyebrow. Everyone's different, it's just a guide. So I usually go up from there, and I'm just working out how far. The higher you go, the friendly, playful vibe you're going to give off. The lower you go, obviously you're going into more potentially making someone look a bit serious or a bit angry. So yeah, she's sort of happy, soft face. So we're going to start a little bit in, because we can see if it slightly goes off because she got the wide top of the bridge, and we're just gonna do that, just a little swoosh. This is not an eyebrow class as such, this is how I do them anyway. I don't do every hair, be there all day. I just kind of start with a few hairs and then just gesture it in. It's more cartoony, more fun. So we've done that bit. It's going to be a bit of shadow cast always on the inners by here. As you see, we sort of slope into the nose now, where you can kind of work out. I mean, this is not the nose tutorial, but I'm going to do one in anyway, just to show you how the eyes sit with the nose. In fact, I'll probably finish the face to start off. So quite large nostrils coming in, and we go down there. Like so. Another thing that can set your pictures, portraits off, whatever, is the cheeks. A lot of people draw faces, they forget about the anatomy, forget about the cheeks. Cheeks are going to be sitting just under, especially because she's got a nice smile going on. Cheeks are going to sort of sit, you know, in this area. So I like to just plant them in. I'm just going to do my smile a minute. Any old smile will do. The lips would sit there. Now we can crack back on with those cheeks by there, and we can get a bit of a chin going on. She's got quite a wide chin, but I like to make them a bit smaller anyway when I'm dealing with females for the cuteness factor. So that's it. We can see our cheeks there. Now I want to sort of bring my chin around and back up. Now be careful not to make your female faces too manly, like this. We don't want this. We don't want to go too round and follow our circle, because she looks like she's been in Greg's all afternoon. And we want to just swoop up and softly try and follow the curves. Roundness is a youthful little trick that characterists use if you're going for the cutesy, you know, roundness. It's a cutesy little trick, so bear that in mind. I mean, we're dealing with a woman here. She's probably in her 20s, early 30s maybe. I don't know who these people are actually, but never mind. Hair's gonna sit somewhere like this. Ear there. I like to do long, fun necks when I'm doing my character draws. I've definitely taken this one more to the serious side just to show you. This is not really my usual style. It's a little bit more detailed. I just wanted to show you how eyes are supposed to look. Do that there. Okay. Now, of course, if you have gone ahead and coloured the top part in darker, it's going to cast a heavier shadow. You know, you go back in and you I like to use a mechanical pencil usually. Anyone will do. Bit of a shadow. I usually do one in the pupil and a little one by there. And that's it. Now, looking at that, it's easy to see that things we could have changed. So what we'll do, we will change them. Highlight your both layers so you've got yourself covered. In fact, I think the bottom one is only that. It's only that ring. So right, we'll highlight both. Go to liquify, and this is one way to do it. You can either pull those eyes out, because we can clearly see they're a bit. They're not as wide as the actual reference. Clear as day. So we pull that out, like so. Yeah, the only problem is I pulled my pupils off with that actual method. I'll show you a different method now. Yeah, so you've got to be careful with liquify, it can pull things too much. But you can see now we've got kind of the same shape going on as the lady in the reference. That was the liquify method. Back to what we was. The other method is just to use your selection tool and just highlight the eye that you're going to be working on and go to distort, and because we need to pull it longer, we could just pull it longer like so. It's a cleaner method. It's not always doable on a fully rendered piece, but in the sketch phase when you want to spot these problems, that's when you want to be sorting it then. So we've got our more slopey down looking eyes now. Just adjust anything that needs adjusting now at the sketch stage. So that's one way of looking at how to do eyes. I don't put this much detail in usually. I'm a bit more loose and cartoony, so I'll show you that. Let's just put a bit of colour on this. Put a bit of colour on this girl a minute. When I'm colouring, I like to use, any old brush will do to block fill. Colour in with any old skin colour. I like to get a little bit more saturation and I like to just put a bit of redness on the nose and cheeks, which is an old caricature trick. Bit of redness on the chin and by the eyes, just to give her some life. And then we'll go a little bit more and a little bit more for the lips. Teeth, I like to go to a sort of very, very light yellow. Eyes, I like to use this colour, which is a very, very light purple. It still gives you loads of scope for adding highlights. It makes them pop at the end. In the edges, we can sort of use some really dark redness if you wanted to really pop it out. What colour eyes did she have? Green eyes. Green eyes are never actually green, they're more yellowy brown. It's more of an illusion. So green eyes there, need to lighten that up a bit. Lighten that up a bit like so. Highlights then, obviously we've already started them, but your highlights would pop more now, now that you have the off-white colour there, see. Okay, so that's how I like to render. If you want to start adding some shading and highlights to make it pop, obviously that's another day. I'm just showing you roughly what we're doing, what I do. So let's remove that and let's drag this out the way a second. Oops, uniform. Now I got a more cartoony style which I'm going to show now, which is quicker, but it's working on exactly the same principle. So let's grab any old pen, get my pencil. So working on the same principle, head shape. Let's do a 3/4 view, is it? Let's do a 3/4 view. Cranium, center line, eye line. In fact, let's wrap it around a bit more. Okay, so if you imagine the equator going around the globe, that's how I work out my eye line. And let's get some sockets in. Say we're gonna do this lady here who's laughing her head off. Let's do a so distance between there and there for our starting points. So we could start one there and one there. Do our eyes slope up or down? It looks like they slope up. So our finishing point is going to be up off our line, like so. Let's get our shape I showed you earlier in, our eye socket shape. Like that. And now we got a basic skeleton to work with. So I'll stay using this pencil, it's fine. I usually ink a lot of my work. If I just show you, see if I've got one done. Yeah, I mean this one, you can see that's sort of my style where I ink it and colour it and then make it a bit more fun than boring old portraits which bore me too much. Okay, so we're doing this lady. Better if I could actually cut her off, couldn't I? I cut her off there. I'm going to lose the rest. It's okay for now. Let's try and work side by side with her. That'll be better. So we're doing more of a 3/4-ish view, which is what I like to do. A lot of caricaturists like to do it this way. You can get away with a lot. You haven't got to be too precise like with the middle, which is hard to make a front-on picture of someone look fun and look good. It's easier when you're doing 3/4 view. You can get away with a lot. I'll show you now. So starting point and end point we've got sorted. What I'm going to do now is you can see that the top eyelid slopes up, but it also comes straight back down because she got such a heavy laugh going on. Someone's cracked her right up. So let's just a bit smaller. So the eyelid sort of wraps around, and then we can just bring that over like so. Yeah, bring that over like so. This one also goes up and goes up like so. Okay, laughing her head off. Not much of a top eyelid going on, so we won't put much of a top eyelid. But we will insinuate something like that. Same with this side, I'm thinking we're going to go up. She's laughing her head off, so swooshing straight back over, which comes down. When people laugh, a lot of people think, oh, this bottom eyelid gets pushed up, and they sort of leave that one open. You end up with like a psychopath look if you carry on like that. So always remember that when you're doing an eye, yes, the bottom one will squish up, maybe even not as much as you think. It'll just be level. So the top one will also squish down like so, and don't forget your cheeks are where it's gonna show the most. So we got top eyelid. What's happened? It's changed my colour on its own. Whatever. Squish that one straight up there, and there's not a lot of white negative space going on there, so I'm just gonna colour that in like that. Colour that in like that. A little bit of an eyelid. Quite thick eyebrows. So working off the same principle, I look up from there and I think, oh, she's over a bit. So I'll go up from there and over a bit, and try and get that shape curve she's got going on. I mean, these are all fine details really. If you want to take ages doing eyebrows, you take ages doing them. That is up to you. Like so. Just put a bit of eyelashes in there, and nose. So I'm looking at this curve for the nose, so I'm going to be working my way into it like this, and I like to push it up so I'm not going so far down. I'm going to push it like here. Again, it's a youthful trick characterist to use. Trying to stick with my centre line for the bottom of my nose. I'm drawing lightly right now, and you can see she's got tiny little nostrils right there. And by there. Right, cheeks. This is where it gets important because she's laughing her head off. So we want to make sure. I'm just going to go ahead and draw the shape of her mouth first, and I'll work off that. So you can see she's laughing her head off, so let's have a big smile. Let's have a big smile. Teeth, I usually go like this, and I don't get involved when I'm doing my own work, because you can get too involved and it can change the style of your picture if you put too much detail in and you're looking for a simple style, and you start adding all these details, you can lose your charm. And I don't know if you've noticed, I've purposely done the mouth off kilter. I've gone off the centre line for a bit of humour, bit of fun. Just go like this and add a bit of a tongue in the back there. You know, I don't usually bother with all this, but I'll do it for the picture. Okay, so corners of the mouth. Cheeks are going to be squished up there because she's laughing her head off. Squished up there, following that sort of shape. We're going to try and make our way back towards the centre line-ish for the chin. Which is there, and then let's give her some roundness. She won't be impressed with this one, would she? Let's be honest. But that's what character is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. Can't see her ear there, so I'll just do anything for now. I'm just gonna come back in on this one a bit. It makes it look a bit chubby there. Following that cheek around, and then I'm going back in. Can't see the side of her hair either. I imagine that it's coming straight down. That's what I imagine. It looks like it's only sort of shoulder length hair. Cut half of it off now. Come down there. And yeah, we've got a smiley girl. So you can do eyes which are angry. If I just show you my little thing again, top bottom, over to the round. That's my starting thing. You could do eyes which are angry, so if you're angry, this would sort of remain down and loose, like so. but your eyelid, your top eyelid, because your eyebrow would come down. So you see your eyebrow is normally here. I mean, that's going to be sort of squashed right down here. So your eyelid is going to be squashed down too. It's going to be wherever it's going to be. So push that down. So you get anger. It's not going to be much lid there. You can push it down even further if you're fuming. Surprise, sort of, just got to keep that top lid open, haven't you? You know, so let's say our pupils there. A bit of iris in there. Pupils there. Surprise, we're just going to be sort of wrapping around still. Like that. And this is going to pretty much stay the same. Eyelid, there won't be much of one because it's so wide open. Eyebrow, if anything, raised. Yeah, you take that into the rest of your face. Remember, dark around the edges. And the laughter one I'll just show you again. So start, finish. The laughter one, we need to see this and see a duck there. We need to, the skin comes over here. We're gonna wrap this up like that. That's the bottom eyelid. Top eyelid is going to be the same. It's going to sort of, it's going to come up here, it's going to open slightly, and it's going to also wrap straight down like so. And you're never going to see much, the white of the eye, you're not going to see too much of that. When you're laughing, sometimes you could have it squished up even more. You could even have it sort of squished right up like this. You know, crying, laughing. And then that is actually the start of the cheek. But you have to be careful with that because you would end up losing anatomy a little bit. Anything else I should show you? Let me just think. When I render the eye, I'm kind of just, what's going on again? Get my shape of my eye in there. When I render my eye, I am doing this same process I'm going to show you now every single time. So I'm, like I said, I'll grab a peachy colour for the skin. Let's use my Mr. Soft. Bit of saturation for just for difference, and I use this colour which I've saved. It's like a purple. It's all the way to the left. It's very desaturated purple, very light. That's the colour I like to use for my eye. It gives a nice natural bluish tint to the eyeball, and when you think people are looking at screens or skylight, there's always a lot of bluish tint to the eye anyway. So that's going to be the colour of my eye. Around the edges I like to add a bit of red, really dark red. Let me use my let me use my clumpy fur brush. It's a very wet, nice brush. Obviously dark and then working lighter, but that's just going to give us a bit of shadow. And then obviously when you come into rendering your actual pupil, whatever colour you want, blue, whatever. Let me get my prop brush back. This is how I render all of them. I'm always thinking in my head, I got my dark iris. I'm always going to be going darker at the top, like this, and around the edges, it's just around like that. And I'll try and softly ease out that iris so it's not such a dot. Soften it out a bit. Yeah, if you can add more tones, the better. And then I'll add a bit of a saturated blue to it as well, which will give me a bit of variation and a bit of interest. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just pop in a highlight or two. Not the best brush to use for that, is it? Never mind. That's kind of how I render my eyes. I would take more care on the eyelashes actually than what I have there. When you're doing eyelashes, you can have fun if you're doing it in a cartoony style. Just remember a few key tricks is the top eyelash is longer than the bottom. Bottom ones are really tiny, if anything. They curve, and also following your eyelids the same, they're wrapping around, so they're wrapping around that ball. Yeah, it's not, you see some beginners, like my kids say, they'll draw their eye and number one, they're not swooshing, they're not curling, so it's kind of, or most kids or basic cartoons are kind of like that, I suppose. Yeah, I always add a few more extra touches when I'm doing eyes. I just add a little bit of bump, just to give it something else to look at, you know. The iris is covered in patterns, but I don't want to be spending all day on it. What else? There's another way caricaturists do things too. They sort of, just grab a pen. They could sort of do a nose like so. Let's take that up to the eyebrow. So you've got like a basis, and even though we've gone through all these principles we've just been through, you could just go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3 lines on each, little triangles. You could actually just get away with that if you're doing live drawings. It's enough. It's enough for most, you know. You haven't got to go ballistic with details unless you're doing your own commissions and stuff like that. See, we've still got this cheek, we've still got room for the cheek, so we haven't lost the anatomy. The chin is going to sit there, and you could sort of just do whatever you wanted. there. So guys, that wraps up my little thing. I just wanted to do a little video explaining how I do my eyes. There's many different ways, many different styles. Just wanted to share mine because it's been a journey. I've been through many anatomy struggles, and yeah, this is what works for me, and it works repetitively and every time. So if you could do me a favour, if you've enjoyed this class, please like, share and subscribe, or hit the button as they say. And I'm going to be back doing another one if this goes well. And I want to talk about noses, and I just want to quickly show you this. Noses. No. 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 But what if you could take any shape nose. See, that's our centre line. We could take any shape nose from that. Easy. We could have this type of nose. We could have, oh, I've lost it all now. We could have, but following that same principle, we have that type of nose. We could have that type of nose. We could have a really big nose. We could have any nose you want from this shape. I'll be explaining in my noses tutorial next time. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm Hugsy Arts, and I'll see you soon.